Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with an episode of Let's Discuss. And for this episode, I wanted to discuss what franchises I believe should be coming back for the PS5. This video is specifically inspired by a post made by IGN because they did one. It was a few weeks ago, it was in January. I got it set up on my phone here. And they were basically asking people, hey, what franchises do you guys think should make a return? What big, Sony specific franchises should be making a return? So they have 8 games here, or 8 franchises. Well, they have 8 games because they aren't actually all franchises. So the ones that I'm going to talk about most, I'll actually save for last, so it'll be like the last 3. So they have Killzone, they have Infamous, which actually I do like Infamous. I'll probably be talking about that because I actually enjoy Infamous. But Killzone, Infamous, Twisted Metal, Parappa the Rapper, and Patapon. And then the last 3 are Resistance, Heavenly Sword, which is technically not a franchise because it's just one game. And then the very last one is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I don't know why they put that on there. I also don't think Patapon had more than one game, but besides the point, I don't know why they put PlayStation All-Stars, because not only was that not a franchise, but I felt like no one cared. No one, people appreciate it. I've played it. It has some stuff where it's like, odds are we will never have a unique experience such as that. Kind of like how Smash Brothers currently is like, that will never happen again. Like current Smash Brothers, we got 6 more characters coming out. That's not going to happen again. We're not going to have Cloud, Snake, Sonic, Bayonetta, all in one game. Unfortunately, as much as I would love for it to happen, I think this is it. I think this might be the last Smash Brothers too. Maybe that'll be a different video, but just how everything's going. But yeah, PlayStation All-Stars, I was like, that's a unique one. It has some crazy stuff. You can play as Isaac Clarke, who is a character from a horror franchise. It was like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Being able to play as Jill Valentine was like the craziest experience to me because I love Resident Evil. Speaking of which, that's why I have my 2, those are the only 2 gaming hats I have. It's like, if you can't make them out, Resident Evil stars, and then this is Castlevania back there, just because they're gaming hats. With Resident Evil, it's at least on PlayStation. Castlevania is really like Nintendo. But yeah, it's like, okay, you got some unique stuff. Isaac Clarke is in there. Kat from Gravity Rush. Man, Gravity Rush, that was a crazy one. Didn't expect to see her in there. So she's in there. You got Big Daddy, Crappy Dante, Raiden from Metal Gear Rising, the super long weird name for Metal Gear Rising. So it's a unique game, and I can kind of understand a little bit why they put it there, but I felt like it wasn't popular enough to even be like referenced. Like it's gonna be this weird thing that exists. It might, kind of stay within the heads of gamers for years to come just because of how crazy and weird it was. Is like this weird failure that it was, because it was like, kind of successful but not as good as Smash Brothers. Weird mechanic where you can only kill from specials and stuff like that. So that was interesting. I wanted to save that for last as the game on their list because I was just like, that feels like such a weird one to even bother putting. Who would choose that out of everything? I mean, who would just want that in general? Maybe I'm sure there are people that absolutely love that, so I'm sure there are people that would love to see a sequel to it, just refined and done a bit better. But I don't think they're gonna try it twice. They tried to stand up. They were trying. They were trying to be like, what the hell is it? They were trying to be MC Hammer. He was trying to come for the glove, and Michael Jackson was like, no. That's what they did, and they have their moment. But they aren't Smash Brothers, unfortunately for them. But I wanted to really talk about these other 3 franchises now that I remembered Infamous was even on this list. Infamous, I would love to see come back. I like Infamous 1 and 2. I actually like Infamous Second Son as well. I know people have kind of mixed opinions on it. People feel that the DLC, First Light, is better than the actual full game. I have not experienced the DLC, so I have no personal preference on that just yet. I don't have that experience. I still want to play it, but that's interesting. That does say something. And it was an interesting thing. Like with 1 and 2, it was like, okay, it can be said and done. And then they're like, but it's also popular. So they brought it back and made the 3rd one. And it kind of just, that's it. And, it could literally go anywhere. It's someone with powers, developing powers and stuff. So it's a heck of a franchise. They could totally do it. And it's just like, they're a great company to do it. I don't mind that we have to wait because Sucker Punch is currently doing Ghost of Tsushima, which is legitimately one of my most exciting games. I cannot wait for that game to come out. And the fact that they're doing it, I was just like, you know what? I like Infamous, but I like Samurai more. I can wait. But I would love to see that come back. And then Heavenly Sword, which I actually decided to keep in the video right here. This is the European greatest hits. So for anyone who has never seen this is what they look like. This is what people in the UK get. When they do, it's platinum, as you can see, which I do think is actually cool. I actually like this because I have Resistance here as well. But, classic greatest hits, it's just red. But I just like this. I like the silver look to it, the platinum look. I think that's great. I actually kind of love that. So I actually bought this off of eBay way more than I should have, because I bought it brand new because I'm that weird person that like wants new games. So I actually found it on eBay brand new, and I was like, great, sure. So Heavenly Sword, unique experience. One of the early games. It's the Goddess of War was its big thing back in the day. 3 fighting styles: heavy, light, medium. Andy Serkis doing mocap. It was the first like holy crap games as movies experience after obviously Metal Gear had its thing, but this was like Andy Serkis is doing mocap and they're doing this and doing that, and the facial recognition is just so much more advanced now, and that was his big thing. It was also an entertaining game, but unfortunately it was just this. It was this, and I believe it has like technically a movie that is the same story as the game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a 3D movie as well. It's actually like basically the same engine, but it's just like, okay, I could totally see that coming back, like do a remaster. Heck, I think that game could have a remake and actually be really well done. It would be interesting to see them kind of update the mechanics, and just see how that could play out. I think it would be entertaining to watch. But I like Heavenly Sword. I wouldn't mind seeing it come back just because I like it. But that's kind of just like okay, I'd like to see that come back because I just like the game. It's still talked about now as like kind of this thing where it was like it's this magical little era after the totally realistic Genji thing from when they were like it's totally realistic, and then you stab the giant crab's weak spot. So it's in that magical era where it's like, yeah, it was fun to play, and I played it way later, and you guys can actually check it out. I did a let's play on it. I don't even know how long ago, but I was like, yeah, I actually like this game, and it was a super old game even then, but I really loved it. I thought it was really good. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about is this franchise that it's one of many franchises. That seems to be my thing in life. I have either TV shows or video games where they'll last for years and years, and then it's just cut off, and I'm left to suffer with cliffhangers. And that leads me to Resistance. I love these games. I love Resistance. Although, speaking of which, I bought this used of all the new games. When I first got my PS3, everything I bought was used because everything was so freaking old. I bought like everything used. I was like, F it. I just want all the games. I don't care. As long as the case looks good, that was like my main thing. There's no booklet in here. I guess that's just common these days. I'm sure this one had one because I feel like that was recent enough. Yeah, like this has one. I think three even has a booklet. So I think I just didn't get one with this because it was used. But yeah, actual used game for me. One of the few that made it in. Resistance though. The first one being Fall of Man. I think the other ones don't even have. Yeah, only the first one has a subtitle. So Resistance, Fall of Man, the Resistance franchise as a whole. I love these games. I thought they were really unique. Not the most unique thing ever. I mean, we've had alternate histories and stuff like that. Doom I think is a great one where it's like, or not Doom. I meant to say Wolfenstein. I was thinking like so old school. I switched them up because I wasn't even thinking of the recent games, which is dumb. But Wolfenstein, like it's cybernetic, futuristic, weird stuff, but it's also, Nazis and stuff like that. Same with Fallout. It's like kind of 50s, but also futuristic. And this is like the alternate reality World War II. It's aliens, and it was like, holy crap, let's not worry about Nazis. Let's worry about aliens. You get cool weapons. You can shoot through walls. Everything has like a cool secondary alien, fire that does something super cool. Unless it's a regular human weapon, then it just does normal stuff. And it was like, these are cool games. Let's see what happens. And then they made the sequel, and it was actually really entertaining. And I was like, I kind of want to go. The games are so old, and I'm pretty sure there won't be a fourth one, but I won't bother spoiling it. But there's some stuff that happens. Actually, no, full-on spoilers. That's kind of the point of this series, is for me to just talk and ramble. So full-on spoilers for this. So Resistance 1. So there's probably a name on here somewhere. Blah, blah, blah. Nope. I probably skipped over his name, but I don't think I... Oh, here we go. And the Army Lieutenant Nathan Hale. Nathan Hale is the main character of this franchise for these two games. So he's in the first one, and then he looks nothing like himself in the second one. It was one of those weird things where he looked like a totally different person because it was so far later that the graphics were like way better than PS2, and then this was like actually PS3 graphics. So it was one of those deals for anyone who hasn't played it. Like, that's how old the first Resistance is. It looks old. And so you play as this character, Nathan Hale. You go through the second game. The first one's like he's impervious to it. He's that special character, of course. The second game comes along and he's that special character. But there are other people. It's like, oh, these people can be infected by kind of this alien virus, but they can survive it. They can control it, have a little bit of extra power or stuff like that. I think that's what allows you to actually utilize the alien weapons, is that you have like this immunity to the alien DNA, so you can have it within you, but and still use the weapons. It's been forever since I played. That's probably not accurate. Actually, I don't think it is, because I'm thinking of the third game now. But anyway, you get to the end of the second game, and Nathan Hill is killed. And he's killed by the main character of this game, which I don't know. Yep, Joseph Capelli. So Joseph Capelli becomes the main character in this one, which also takes place about 20 years later. So you have, these two games are fairly close together. I'd say they're, I mean, it's World War II, and then I think this one ultimately ends up in like, maybe it's only in the 50s. So yeah, these ones are probably super close together. And then he dies, and then 3 kicks in, and I'll never forget, I hadn't beaten Resistance 2 before 3 came out, and I was watching the Game Awards, and it was like, yeah, in Resistance 3, after Nathan Hill is killed by, Joseph Capelli, you take on this character's story now in Resistance 3, 20 years later. And I was like, oh, that sucks that I didn't know that one until I watched the Game Awards years ago. But then the third game comes out, and I was like, this is really cool. It keeps going, and it's this thing where it's like, you always expect these stories to have a finite ending, where it's most likely the heroes will win. So you're fighting against the aliens, they're introduced in 1, and then it's the all-out assault in 2, where it's like, you're traveling and stuff, and it's like, all right, this is what we got to do. We have to go here to destroy this alien, we have to go here to destroy this alien base, this mothership, and this and that. Then the end of the game rolls around, and the main character has to be killed because he can no longer contain the power within him, and he officially is corrupted and turned pretty much into an alien. He's mentally controlled by them now, because I believe they're a hive mind. So he gets killed, 3 comes out, and then it ends on a cliffhanger. The war doesn't end. I thought it was going to be like, okay, they've done 20 years later. The character, once again, looks totally different from 3 than he did in 2, because it's 20 years later, so it kind of makes sense. He's got a kid, he's got a wife, and it's like, all right, I got to leave home. I got to, you fight through your small town at first, and then you leave and you go to New York and stuff. It's actually really fun, because I love games that do that, where it's, an alternate version of a set time period. And you go through this game, you fight the war, and I'm like, all right, we're doing, like you do in any game, you do the grand mission. You go through and you succeed, and it's like, cool, you did that grand mission, but the war doesn't end. It doesn't stop all the aliens. It's just like, you won, and then he went back home because he lived. And I was like, oh, that's not the end. So they have to make a Resistance 4. And I think this game came out in this was years ago. 720p is as high as this went. So that says something right there. And it has the sharpshooter compatibility on it. So this was, if I can find a date on here somewhere, a super long time ago, obviously. But yeah, 2011. 2011 was the last time we saw Resistance. And that sucks to me, because I really love this franchise. And so that is what I would really love to see come back. Out of everything, I would say Resistance 3, as far as an exclusive thing, I want the story to end. I want to see the ending to that story. They did very unique gameplay with the weapons and stuff. It was actually really entertaining. I liked the story element, like I said, of an alternate, World War II, and then, kind of time progressing from there, just like with, like I said, the current Wolfenstein. But it sucks that it's gone, and I don't know if it's coming back. I would love to see it come back. Like I said, they're doing Ghost of Tsushima, but I want them to make Resistance 4. And even if it's the very last one, I'd be like, I have to buy it. I have to see the conclusion to this story. I'd probably replay those, although I can't. My PS3 is screwed now. If I fix it, I would love to replay those and then go through Resistance 4 and, kind of see what happens. But that's the one. That is the Resistance is the franchise I would love to see come back, as far as PlayStation exclusive titles. This is super random, and I don't think it was exclusive. I would love to see a sequel to this. That'll never happen. This game was not popular at all, and I also bought this super late, and also did a Let's Play on it. I did Let's Plays on really old games that I just wanted for a long time, so once again, you guys can check that out. I may or may not put links in the description. I'm horrible with that. I always forget, so I always have this warning. It might be there. Don't get your hopes up, but you can check. But what? Funny title, also interesting game. I love the gameplay. It was ridiculous, over the top, dual wield katana, run, jump, defy physics. It's one of those games. It's fun, it's dumb, and it unfortunately ends on a cliffhanger as well, which I wish they did. I hate when people do that. Please just end it, and then if you get a sequel, just do that. But it's literally one of those games where one of the villains survives, and it's like, well, it has to be a sequel, because clearly the story's not finished. She didn't kill everybody. And of course, it's not getting a sequel, which is sad. But I like that. I would like to see that come back, but whatever. Resistance, that's what I want to see. Resistance come back. Some other franchises I would like to see come back, and I guess this kind of devolves a little bit into other franchises, which this will also be another video. Franchises that I mentioned like just ended too soon. Fear and Condemned, I would love to see those come back. I don't know if Monolith is even a company anymore. I would just love for those games to come back. I'm gonna do a separate video on that, so I won't even get too far into it. But PlayStation, I would go Resistance, and that whole list, I would love to see Resistance come back. Heavenly Sword would be interesting, but it would be Resistance #1. Infamous, without a doubt, I would like to see come back as well, just to see what they would do. Would they continue with the character that they had? Would they make a brand new character? Would they make it, a new location on Earth, as far as like where they are? Because the first one was New York, I believe, or no, it wasn't New York. It was just some city, and then it was New Orleans, which is very unique because no games take place in New Orleans, so that was pretty cool. Then they did Seattle, so I would like to see what they would do next because they tend to pick real locations and do interesting things with them. I would love to see that, and then of course a character that gets superpowers. I don't know if they could make it another character that has the same thing where you could have multiple powers at once, because once you do that, it's like, oh well, you kind of can't go back to like it's just this person with just this power. It could be fun, but then it'll just be like, well dang, all I'm gonna think now is the last game was a guy who absorbed other people's powers, and you get like 4 or 5 powers throughout the entire game. It's like, well, I kind of want to go backwards to just one cool power, because all of those had the same level of upgrades as the just lightning powers, from 1 and 2, and you got slight, the enhancements in that where you could choose ice, an ice enhancement on your abilities, or if you went the evil route, you get like killer explosive enhancement. So they did have that, and then they built up to Second Son, where it's like you just get different powers. You can phase through stuff with this. You can run super fast with the neon power, which was definitely the sweetest one because I just like super speed. So I was like, it'll let you run at super speed, but really cool. I like that idea, and it's like, the different things in the world is how you could trade your powers out. I love that concept. I was like, you could go up to a neon sign and you absorb it, and then that switches your power to the neon power. And I was like, that's such a cool idea. Like, it's your power is all around you. You just have to pick and choose which one works best for you, or just which one you like the most. So Sucker Punch does a great job with superpowers. We'll see what they do with Samurai, but I would love to see that come back. I want Resistance so bad. Like I mentioned, the other franchises, I'll talk about those in a totally different video. They're all horror franchises. All my like ended franchises are like horror franchises, so I have to talk about that now. But yeah, that's my thought, my random little rant and discussion on this one. I would love to see Resistance come back. There's really not much. Now that I really think about it, it's really just Resistance. Like, it's really just Resistance. But I do want to know which franchises you guys think should come back as far as PlayStation specific. I don't have much of an attachment to anything except for Resistance, so I didn't realize I would only end up talking about that and like a little bit about Infamous. But that was mostly why I wanted to do this video, because no one talks about Resistance. It doesn't get brought up anymore because 2011, and it was always like, they're good games, but they were never like bombastic. I think like the first 2 maybe, and then 3 was just like, yeah, that's a really cool game. And then they just didn't make a 4th one, and maybe it's because they weren't popular enough and that was what happened. But I always wanted another one. I was always just like, man, I can't wait to see what happens. Also, I just realized this entire time, this is Insomniac, and they do some great stuff. I totally drawn a blank on what the heck they do. I think it's Ratchet and Clank or Jack and... No, that's Naughty Dog. I forgot what the other one was that they do. I can't remember anymore. They're one of the other ones. I think they were probably Crash Bandicoot. No, that was Naughty Dog. So maybe Spyro was Insomniac. That was them. So everyone always goes from like these kid franchises to like the crazy adult stuff now, but they do both very well. Naughty Dog has gone on to do Uncharted. They're doing Last of Us right now. Insomniac, they had this. I feel like they have something else that's fairly recent that I can't think of right now. And then Sucker Punch has, like I said, they have their open world style is mostly Uncharted, but I'd love to see them go back. They have it. They have that weird, like, creativity in a cool, fun way, and then you just put it into something a bit more serious. And they did it right with Resistance. I would just love to see the story in. I think that would be great, but it's my personal opinion on it. I would love to see Resistance come back. I can't really think of anything else because nothing is exclusive anymore. Like, I would love, Resident Evil is fine. Resident Evil's gotten its resurgence and stuff, but for like a game and a half, I guess it was a PlayStation exclusive. But Resident Evil for me is still, I buy it on PlayStation. Final Fantasy was the big one. Metal Gear was another big one. And so it was like all of those are just multi-platform now. So it's like I can't even use those anymore because so many franchises that used to be like, oh, that's what you get on Sony. This is what you get here. This is what you get there. Specifically Sony based. most of those have been like, all right, well, more money, so let's start, branching out. So Metal Gear's on everything, Resident Evil's on everything now. Lots of franchises that were specifically for Sony, or mostly known for the Sony brand, they're just all over the place. So it's like, I can't even talk about those anymore because they don't apply at all in this video. Unfortunate. Or maybe I guess it's fortunate. I shouldn't say that's unfortunate. It's nice to have, more people kind of involved in these games and franchises and stuff, so more people can kind of keep them going if you like them. I love Resident Evil, for instance. I want everyone to play it and buy it so that more Resident Evil gets made. I cannot wait for 3. Looking forward to that. But get in this video here, because now I'm talking about something totally different. We'd love to know your thoughts on it. What franchises would you guys like to see get a resurgence? What needs to come back from the dead? What needs to die, maybe? If there's a franchise that is, a Sony exclusive where you're just like, please stop making that so that more money can go into maybe other franchises that haven't been supported too much. I would love to know, like, what franchises would you guys like to see, whether killed off or brought back or both. We'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. So please put your comments down there. Let me know your favorite games that should be brought back, or franchises, I should say, franchises that should come back, franchises that probably need to die. Some may say Call of Duty, not exclusive, but it does some bad things in gaming sometimes, here and there. It's good games, but they mess some stuff up every once in a while. They cause other people to do dumb stuff because they didn't. It's just a whole gaming thing. But we'd love to know your thoughts. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.